Being multi-passionate and having a lot of different strengths can be a gift. But first, you have to embrace it. I'm going to talk about being multi-passionate today. Welcome to Soulful Journey.
Soulful means something that's heartfelt, deep and profound. To journey means to travel from one place to another. This show is about deep and heartfelt discussions about where we are, where we're headed, and where we've been. It's a place where we highlight memorable moments we've had. This show is about everything and everyone that is good for the soul.
Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Venus Jones. Some people call me Venus Love Jones, and you can find me at that hashtag and at that social media handle. Can I talk today? Okay, it's all right. You know what? I'm multi-passionate, and I'm very, very passionate about this topic because really we're going to be diving deep with someone who's also a solopreneur like myself. And sometimes we live in a world that wants to put you in a box and says you have to do everything this way or you won't be successful. Well, both of us are living proof that that's not true. So I just cannot wait to introduce you to Floyd Boykin Jr. He is an amazing Gemini and a really good friend of mine. And he's going to get in it. He's going to tell you all about it. We're going to have a little bit of fun today. But before that, we always like to, on this show, take a breath. So if you will take a deep breath with me, if this is your very first one, this show is really for high achievers with anxiety. It's for visionaries, empaths, and unsung heroes and sheroes. I'm here for you. We're here for it. But we're also here for that breath, okay? So let's take that deep breath. Feel yourself breathing in. Feel yourself breathing out. Without trying to control your pattern of breathing, relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. And notice how every breath is different from the next. It's the same with life. Ever changing, ever evolving. Whatever is going through your mind right now, you can let it slip away. And we can come back to harmony. Because you are safe. You are accepted. You are forgiven. And you are loved. You are so loved, especially when you choose to be loved. Yes. Before I begin every show, I also like to do a poem that reminds me of my guest. And this one that I want to do is actually a poem that I used to do a lot when I wanted to lift my spirits, and I didn't care if people didn't know who the person I was paying homage to was. I just was going to do it anyway. Okay. But they called her the first lady of song, and her name is Ella Fitzgerald. And this poem that I created, it was created mainly because it's a companion piece to another poem that you can find on the Venus in Retrograde in the Venus to Earth album, but it's also found in She Rose. And it's a companion to a poem called, it's kind of both, called Dixieland. But it's almost like a dream that I had of what would happen if I met Ella Fitzgerald one day, or if she was alive during the same time as me, and I got a chance to go check her out. This is what would have happened. The Crusaders charged in when the crowd began to stray, and they said that we're picking up the pieces. The average big bands, they left yesterday. And we all wanted to do something more than a simple side sway. So we made some naughty noise. And those girls, they started bouncing like baby boys because that beat was jumping. I mean, really jumping, flipping and twisting them girls like toys. Me? No, I ain't misbehaving. But out of the blue, Daddy-O had left. And what it is, cat, Lady Scat, taking us back. She said, It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do up, 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 do up. It don't mean a thing. All you got to do is sing. Do up, 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 do up. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. You got to get that rhythm, everything you gotta go out, bada go bop, skip it do bop, skip that, skip it do bop, get it do that, skip it do that. Hey, Ella was so full, she blew up the spot. And ooh, shabam, beana rabop. That joint was hot and heavy, grooving on a highway for miles. Ask Freddie. Frankie knows it was a maze of movement. Thighs, heels, every toe tapping. And I always meant to say that I got a kick out of you. And she would say, baby, love, it's here to stay. You be sweet. And I guess it just means there will always be spring in my feet. I decided to get on up so I could get on down, because these weary blues will never, ever make me lose my beat. I chose that poem because Ella said it doesn't mean a thing if it doesn't have that swing. And sometimes the swing is all you need. And as long as you're passionate about something, it means that you're still living. And when you're passionate about something, that's really the secret, is to be passionate about everything that you do. And when you do, that's when you know you're swinging. Yes? Even if you feel like you can't sing, but if you just have fun with it, you are willing, and it just means that you're always open to learning. My next guest is always open to learning a new thing, a new instrument, a new recipe. And I wanted to call him the chief and editor-in-chief, but he's also the editor-in-chef. But he's the editor-in-chief of SpokenVizions Magazine. He's my friend. He's a fellow Gemini, and I'll let him tell you more about himself. And he's so much more. How about this? He's a one-man show, just like Ella is a one-woman show. And that's why I chose that piece. Welcome, the one and only Floyd Boykin Jr. What's up, Floyd?
What's up? Peace and blessings. Let me make sure I got this camera right here. Peace and blessings. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm so happy to see you and so happy to hear you. I'm glad that you are here in the house. We both in the house. And that's what I told everybody.
Both of the Geminis in the house.
Both of the Geminis. So you all have no idea what might happen. So I'm just saying, just be prepared. There's a lot of people in the room. It's not just the two of us. We talking about multiple passions and multiple potentialites. So yes, let's dive deep. But first, do you want to bless us with a poem about who you are, or do you want to just tell us who you are? Just tell them a little bit about who you are, and because I say I know who I think you are, but you could be. We all growing every day, so you might have picked up something new. What makes you happy right now?
Oh man, music, musical instruments, cooking, poetry, and just life, and life in general outside of the pandemic. So it's like when I don't have to deal with people in reference to the pandemic, I'm smiling, happy, and giggling. But,
yes.
But yeah, I'm a poet. I'm an author. I'm a home chef. I call it home chef. Some people ask me, are you a chef? I said home chef. I haven't had any formal training, but I'm very passionate about cooking. I'm rocking my chef hat and my chef apron right now with BE Poetic. I have my clothing line, BE Poetic, and what else? What else I do? Write song. I do music, play multiple instruments. I'm not a master at any of my instruments, but I really love playing them. So I just really try to learn new sounds and new instruments and things like that. So I just have fun with the arts.
Why don't you grace us with something? What would you like to share with us? I saw you had an instrument in your hand, so quit playing. Start playing.
What? So I was gonna try to do this. I haven't never played this. Well, I haven't played this live, so it may not work the way I wanted to. But this is, for those who don't know, this is a quena, which is a Peruvian flute. You know, so I picked it up. I wrote this poem about a friend of mine. I was doing this project, I guess you can call it. You know how you have a model sitting in the chair and someone paints her or draw her? Well, I had this model that was sitting in the chair and I'm writing poetry, you know. So I was trying to do the poetic version of what they do with the art. So I wrote this poem via FaceTime, because it was like towards the end of last year, for one of my friends in Florida. So it's called Exquisite. That's what it's called.
Exquisite.
Let me see if I can. Hopefully this will work when I messed up. Brown skin, beautiful woman of intelligence, I am blessed with your presence, and your presence elevates my spirit to a magnificent utopia. My mental space has been caressed by your energy. I love the shape of your eyes, soulful, exquisitely peaceful. They pull me deeper into paradise. And I love repeating that journey as often as possible. The way you lean your head to the side relaxes my being. I wonder what you're thinking. You are brilliant to me. I adore your mind. I love your smile, Afro Latina. You are fresh air on repeat. I breathe you intensely. Your essence is not modified. To make it simple, you are the definition of heaven on earth. That's the piece. Oh, shoot, I have to go get my rap.
Go ahead. You do what you need to do. But I'm going to tell you what. I look, what did he say? Afro Latina, brought up the naturalness. You know, us natural girls, we haven't always had love. We don't always get to love. But one thing I can say about Floyd Boykin Jr., he has always loved natural hair. Trust me, I have noticed, like, a lot of the people that you highlight, a lot of the sisters, I noticed you highlight a lot of sisters with natural hair, and it's so funny that came out. And that's why I knew to wear my crown today.
That's right, you're rocking it too. You're rocking it.
I said I gotta put this crown on for Floyd, because he knows the importance of a sister girl loving her crown. I'll rock a wig in a second, and I'll do other things too, just to show my creativity and that my hair. I am not my hair, as India Irie would say, but I'm always appreciative of people who love my hair as much as I love it, because it took me a journey to love it. But yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for rocking the hair. First thing I noticed as soon as I logged in, I love things.
Yes. And Urel says that was beautiful. He's in the chat. Thank y'all for joining us in the chat. I see you, Shauna. What's up, Steven? Right, we all in here. Loving on Floyd Boykin Jr. He is he's been an inspiration for many. Is there any other magazine other than yours that really highlights spoken word artists and poets? I haven't heard of one. I know I said that today. I was like, because I was hoping somebody would chime in and say, "Oh, what about this?" Are you the only one still?
I think so. I mean, the Poet and the Writers magazine, I think that's been going strong forever. But they do a different type of feature.
Poets and Writers, you said?
Yeah, poet and writer. They're not really doing the spoken word performance or performers, as so much. So that's why I took the angle of spoken word poets, because nobody was really doing us. And there's been several publications that came out, and they're no longer around. I've seen some that came out, had one issue, was banging, and then nothing else came out after that. So I don't really know if anybody else is really doing it. I haven't seen anything in a very long time, but I think I'm the only one. And if there's another one out there, please let me know. I mean, I love to know what's out there personally.
Well, that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because that's just another example of why you're here, because you're a visionary. You're like one of a kind, of somebody who's seeing something that's missing and becoming that thing. And you have become so many different things, as in the words of Michelle Obama, we're always becoming. But what do you say to a multi-passionate person who might want to start their own magazine, but they also have the other talents? Or how do you do all of these things, or all of these things at once, or are you doing them at different times? What is your routine? I'm trying to come up with the perfect question here. But what does your routine look like? And let me ask this one. When did Soulful Journey? I'm sorry. When did Soulful Journey? When did your magazine? When did it first start? What year was that? And can you tell us more about it? Like, is it still? Are you still doing? Just tell us the journey of SpokenVizions, please, before we get into your how you started becoming more of an instrumentalist as well.
Okay. Well, SpokenVizion came out in 2002. That's when I originally started the journey. I had, I think I had like $15, and I had $15 and some software. And I said I really wanted to do this magazine. And one of my boys was like, "Dude, if you can't print like 500 at one time, man, I wouldn't do it." And I was like, "Okay, I hear you." I did it anyway. And so at the time, I didn't know anything about design work or anything like that, So it had what they call trim around the first magazine. If you go back, M.K. Stallings, which is a visionary here in St. Louis, the first magazine had a white border on the outside. I didn't know you were supposed to trim that, at the printer, they trim that off. I didn't know that, but I just wanted to get this magazine out, so that's what I did, And so we're on our 53rd issue. I'm currently working on the 53rd issue, and that should be dropping hopefully next week,
So yes, so I love it. You got your maracas with me. It's a party going on. We're celebrating this life and how full it is. So full, your life. So you got the magazine. It's still going strong. It went from a print publication to a online publication in what year?
Well, so it was initially came out as a print. I think we only had like 20 pages or something like that, and that went on print wise all the way up to about, I want to say 2007, and then we I stopped printing at that point because it was like, it was old school back in the day. You had to mail out every issue and this and that, and you're trying to get all this advertisement, and we're a specialty publication, and so it was hard getting advertisement. So I had like, it cost like $700, $800 to mail out stuff, and I wasn't getting like the advertisement. So it was like having an expensive card, but you didn't have the card. You had the note, you just didn't have the card. So I stopped printing for a little while and went straight to online for a little while, because I was like, maybe this is a smart move. But then technology changed. Tablets and iPads start popping out, and I was like, man, this might be the best time to jump back in. So I jumped back in. I believe it was 2010. Jumped back into the mix. I changed the format in terms of the size of the magazine, because it used to be like an 8x10. I changed the 5x7.
I still have some of those 8x10s.
I know you do. I still got that.
Because I was I'm proud to say that I'm one of the first supporters of SpokenVizions. Because when I first saw it, I was like, what? Somebody is really paying homage to spoken word art. I had to support you. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I remember then you had the smaller version ones, and then you did the online. And I'm happy to say that I got a chance to grace the cover one year.
And you were rocking that cover too.
2012 it was. And wow, when I found out, because you didn't even tell me, I was like, I found out like after it was published.
Well, that's what I like to do. See, people always like, when someone reaches out to me and tell me they want to be on the cover, typically I don't put them on the cover, because it's I look for humility and that humble spirit with someone who's like, hey man, I just want to be, I just want to be interviewed, man. I just want to be in a magazine. And so when I get that spirit, which is a spirit that you have, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna surprise them. So I wait till you don't know, you find out when everybody else find out. So post it, hey, Venus is posted, then you go chilling on the cover of Jet Magazine, and right.
Can't nobody tell me nothing. And then I went from humble to like, no, I'm just like,
she's like, I'm on the cover.
Right.
There was only
I'm
one
still
person
humble.
who approached me. I don't even know if I should say her name, but one person approached me about being on the cover, and they were very adamant about being on the cover. It was actually her management. And so, and first I wasn't going that route until they was like, well, my client's done this and this and this and this and that. Sent me a package, because back in the day we had EPKs, and they sent those electronic press kits for those who don't remember. And so when I got it, it was in color. I mean, I was just like blown away. I said, she's right. She does deserve to be on the cover. So she was on actually 2 covers actually. So those who want to know that, you can go back and check out the covers on
Go check that out.
See who I was talking about.
Pow. So how about that? And I just want, when I think about you, I think about Spoken Visions. I can't help but think about the magazine. I think about how you juggle. This is where I was trying to go with the earlier question, is like, for those who are listening who are like, but how do you do it? How are you multi-passionate and successful with it? What's your routine like? Because I know you're also a father.
Mm-hmm.
What's your secret to balancing it all?
I don't know if there's a secret. I think my main thing is that I don't think about it. I think that's the main thing. When you start thinking about all the stuff you're doing, you get tired and exhausted, and stuff don't get done. But when you just like, man, okay, I got to do this, and you do it, and then you say, okay, I'm going to do that, and you just kind of do it, at least for me, then typically I have multiple things going on at one time. So sometimes when I release stuff, it might be 2 or 3 items that got released at the same time, a book, a CD, and a magazine issue. And they're like, whoa, because I've done that like several times where I released either 2 books at the same time, or a book and a CD, and then the current issue of the magazine dropped within that same week. And they're like, well, how are you doing that? But I constantly work on stuff. So it just happens to, some things that I work on, they happen to finish or I complete them around the same time. And so some people, how do you find time? I'm always writing. I'm always doing something. But my routine, I guess you can say, now that I'm working a whole lot, I go to work. Sometimes I wake up in the morning, I'll practice my violin or one of my instruments. And then I go to work. When I come home, I usually cook for my son, and after that, everybody know not to bother me between 7:30 and 9:30, because that's my practice time. If you call me, I'm not picking up the phone. And I stay disciplined with that too, because what happens is you pick up the phone, you say, hey man, what's up, man? What you doing? And, oh man, I'm practicing my violin right now. Oh, okay, man. But I just have one question for you. And then they start talking like, okay, you just didn't really hear what I said. And then they're on the phone for 30 minutes, and I lost that time to rehearse. So typically I won't pick up that. I'll text someone, because I could text, multitask, and do that. No phone calls. And then by that time, it's probably about 9:30, I might work on writing something, or, so no set schedule other than I practice violin every day. I've been playing that almost 4 years now, and I practice between 15 minutes to 2 hours a day, depending on, what's going on.
I just finished reading a book called The Power of Habit, and I'm wondering if there's like a cue that tells you, since you don't have a specific schedule, but they were talking about like cues. That sometimes the brain can have like a cue. You see something and you're like, oh, it's time to practice that violin. I'll put it in. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. And do you have if you don't have a set time for violin, it sounds like you are disciplined enough or you are in habit enough to do it as much as you do, that's how you've gotten so much better at it. Because, you say you know how they say jack of all trades and master of none. That's why I started this off with, if you are multi-passionate, embrace it as a gift, because sometimes when we hear stuff like that, it can mess with your self-esteem. Like, wow, I'm not that good at one thing. But I don't think that's true for you or me. Like, you are good at a lot. And but what do you say to that?
Well, see, I almost use that same statement, but just because you're not a master doesn't mean you're not good. So,
Okay.
I'm not a master musician or musicianalist or instrumentalist, a musician or instrumentalist, but I enjoy playing. So the things that I play, I do pretty decent with, and it's melodic, and I use it in my recordings. I'm working on a new album right now,
Gotcha.
and so I've incorporated some of that stuff in. So you don't have to be, perfect to be a musician or to.
Well, who is though?
Prince, but
Gemini. True. But think about it. All of the instruments he played.
He was jammed on all of them, though. I mean, he was the bomb with all of them that I know
right.
of. But I mean, certain people are like that. I mean, but you have people like Marcus Miller on bass or whatever. Everybody, if you're a bass player, you know who Marcus Miller is. And you got Herbie Hancock. Everybody know Hancock on the keys. George Duke on keys and stuff like that. And that's their instruments. But that doesn't mean they don't play something else. I think Marcus Miller, he's dope on the bass, but I think he also plays bass clarinet too. So it's like, just because you do, when you go to school to study a particular thing, to major in something, don't you take other classes that doesn't have jack to do with your major? But it's, you might take 6 or 7 classes. Some of those are, working towards your major. Some of them are not. But you're studying 6 things at one time. So how come you can't do that with instruments and cooking and things that you enjoy and make time for that? So I look at it like that.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. I was looking at experts on this topic, and one of them was saying how don't ask a child, what they want to be when they grow up, but ask them, what brings you joy, what makes you happy. And you said that keyword, you're like, I enjoy it.
I do. I enjoy it. I mean, over the last 3, maybe almost 4 years, I've picked up several different instruments. And I'm learning them. I mean, I'm not like the bomb, but I'm learning them. And some of them I've ventured out into other cultures, just like that Peruvian flute. That flute, I probably had less than 2 months, maybe, but I've played the concert flute or the silver flute for on and off for years, So picking up a flute like that, once you kind of figure out how to make a sound, it's a little easier to make the tones, But I've done that. Got Chinese instruments over here. I got like 3 different Chinese instruments.
One-man band.
Hey, man,
don't mention all these instruments. I will have you playing them, but I got to ask you at least one soul check question before we get in it.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question about, like, if you had a theme song, what would it be?
If I had a theme song, that's a very good question. It used to be Stevie Wonder's "Love in Need of Love Today." That's my serious theme.
Yes.
But if I was going to be funny and smile a little bit, I had to steal Shaft's theme music. Like when you walk in the door and you hear that, I get my Shaft music in for a minute when I walk in the door. But then also I would say maybe "Brother's Gonna Work It Out" by Public Enemy.
Okay. All right. Well, what is your favorite vacation spot?
You know what? If you know me, I don't take many vacations, so I really haven't. But I can tell you that I went to Canada years. I toured with the Soul Vibe Poetry Collective, which is a collective I'm part of, and we toured to Canada, and y'all almost didn't get me back. So Canada was beautiful. Well, I tell you. So Canada, even though it's not necessarily a vacation spot, but it was like my favorite place to visit. Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto. I loved it, and would love to go back and hang out with the people of Canada.
I was listening to, I know you have a podcast called The Exchange, correct?
Yes,
I was listening though, because it seems like you go vacations with the mind. Am I wrong? When you play your instrument, I was hearing you say something how you would go to the lake sometimes.
yeah. I started doing that recently when I just turned 50 back in June. And what I did is I went to a lake here called Creve Coeur Lake. I took one of my instruments there, and I went there and to play and to be one with the earth and just the elements. And it was so relaxing, man. It was so dope that I said I wanted to try to do that monthly. I haven't been back as much as I want to, but that week I was there like 4 times that week because I was like, man, it was so beautiful because the wind is blowing. I'm playing on one of I got a drum that I play. I was playing that, which is so dope. Which I should have that over here, but it's over in the corner. I might have to run and get that. And it is a vacation of mine. Serenity is my favorite word, and I'm about peace and just.
Have you seen that Seinfeld episode, Serenity Now?
No, I mean,
no, they would say Serenity Now in that episode. His father, I think it was George's father, who would say that Serenity Now. That's what I think of, but that's a beautiful word. It is a beautiful word, serenity.
Oh, serenity is beautiful, and that's just describe my peace of mind and my heart. If you got drama, unless it's on TV, I don't want to be bothered with it.
I heard that. Define wellness.
Wellness, like for health wellness, or just
what does that look like for you?
Wellness, I tie it back into serenity and peaceful and a healthy healthiness of the mind, body, and soul and spirit. So wellness pulls all that in, and so that's why one would meditate or pray for some people, or both, and take mental breaks from the world so that you are healthy, that you're mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, emotionally healthy, all of that stuff. So that's wellness for me.
And eating well, I like to think, Chef Boykin. Can we dive into how you became the chef that you are, or the practicing home chef that you are?
Sure.
Yes. Talk about it.
I made this today just for this show. Actually, I just learned how to make this. This is what they call kimbap, which is a Korean dish. But it's like sushi, but it's real cooked food. And I saw online there was what they called a flour thing. So I learned how to make this like literally an hour and a half before the show today. So the way I got into it, my mom taught me how to cook. Rest her soul, bless her soul. When I was like 9 or 10 years old, and she told me never depend on a woman to cook you anything. So get in here and make the spaghetti. Get in here and make this meatloaf. So I started my journey then. And so I would always cook. My mom would have me and my brother cook. And then as I got older, I worked in fast food and when I worked at Hardee's actually. And while I was at Hardee's, they have a special way how they cook their food. Well, whenever we would make our lunch, we would change the settings, cut some onions up, saute, put it on the grill. We would change it up and make our own sandwich. And it was just kind of tied into the journey. And then my bonus mom is from Thailand, and she's like the best cook I know, and she's just amazing. And so I saw how she elevated food, so how she took it from this being simple to like, wow, this is just amazing. So I started watching what she was doing, and I started kind of adding that spirit to what I do. So I love plating. Anybody who follow me online, they know I love plating my food. So I've been, haven't had any formal training, anything like that, but I'm really good at just looking at something, a video or reading a book and kind of catching on and recreating things.
You are definitely a lifelong learner, and that's what I see in you. That and if you were to connect the dots between all of your passions, what through line would you see?
If I connect the dots to all the things that I love,
to
do, love, that the dot there is just loving who you are and knowing that you're not just whatever somebody sees. Like if you just see me and say, "Oh, he's a black man," that's it. There's multiple layers and chapters to everyone. A lot of times we don't tap into it because somebody may have discouraged you from moving forward. You wanted to be a dancer. Somebody tells you that, you sucked, and you'd be like, so I ain't gonna do it. And then you never do it,
Right.
And I almost had that with me playing the flute back in the day. I mean, no one told me I sucked with the flute, but I was a black boy in the hood walking down the street with his little flute. And,
You already know that's trouble. You asking
right,
for trouble, right?
Yep. So I mean, that discouraged me a lot. Even though I
Right.
played in church, I played the flute in the church and this and that, but it still was kind of nobody encouraged me. And then once I got older, I see all these jazz musicians, and that happen to be males jamming on a flute.
Mhm.
I am a different cultures males jamming on a flute. The one that really got me, I don't know his name, but it's a brother who plays flute in Sade's band when she put out this one concert. And this brother, man, he was jamming. I was like, see, man, I should have stuck with the flute, So, but yeah, I mean, we have multiple layers, and I always encourage people to tap into those multiple layers because that's who you are. The essence of those layers, that's who you are, and you always pulling back a layer to discover a new part of yourself. So you think you know yourself, but you're learning yourself. We're continuing to learn ourselves, I'm familiar with myself, but there's so much more to me than what I've done. I still got things to do that I want to do and tap into.
Did you see that movie called Soul?
Yes, I did.
With the where you have to find your spark.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly.
If you had, what would you say your spark is?
Anything art related, but music, poetry, and food, cooking. Though those are my sparks.
Yes.
Currently. And then a fourth one might slide in there somewhere, but if you follow me consistently, those three elements have always connected some kind of way over the years.
Well, we're at that time in the show where I have to ask you about your show and tell item. Did you bring something that, like, if someone told you had to go to a desert island, or they say, this time you can take it with you, but you're only allowed to take like 1 or 2 drinks. I just want you to pick like the top thing that you would take that kind of speaks to your spirit, that will keep you going. Is there something that you brought? It could be a book, it could be a picture, or even a person, but what would you say? I mean,
I would take, is there only one item or
yeah, something that,
I'll take a picture of my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, because my mom, that picture of my mom will inspire everything else.
Is there a specific picture? Can you describe it to those who might be listening through podcasts?
Well, that's a picture I have. I have a mantle, an altar with my mom's picture on it. She's kind of side profile, old school picture. She has on red, which is both of our favorite colors, and it's a picture that I think that when I think about my mom, she had a lot of peace in that picture, and her life wasn't always peaceful, And
Yes.
So that particular picture is one when I look at it, I see her at peace.
And is she in the picture by herself? Or are you in the picture with her?
That particular picture, she's in there by herself. But I have another picture that would be the second one if I couldn't find it for whatever reason, which was a graduation picture. With the last picture I took with her actually before she passed away. It was a picture from my graduation where we just chilled. I take that one.
Well, that's a beautiful take, and I'm wondering, with takeaway, as they say. I'm wondering if you want to dive a little bit deeper into how you became a lupus advocate, because I know that was another part of your identity.
Yeah, lupus is very dear to my heart. I got into it because that's what my mom passed away from, with lupus, And at the time, I didn't know anything about lupus. None of us really did. It was, we were talking about 1993. We didn't see shows that talked about lupus or anything like that. So there was a lot of research going on, but I didn't know anything about it. So my mom passed away on September 7th of 1993. And, the doctor, we thought she had cancer because that's what my mom told us she had. And when I asked the doctor, well, is it the cancer? Is it cancer? He thought she doesn't have any cancer. And so that's when he told me about lupus, and we didn't know anything. But that was the journey. That's what started the journey. When she passed on, I wanted to educate other people. I didn't want them to find out about lupus the way I found out about it, So I started working with the Lupus Foundation of Missouri, and they funded a project that I have called Project Life, Learning Information for Existence. And so I did a compilation with me and my cousin Tracy Mitchell, who is an amazing guitarist and vocalist. You have to check him out. He co-produced the project with me. He's like my Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jam Terry Lewis. That's trying to be that, And, and that particular when we raised money for the Lupus Foundation, we were doing concerts. And then ultimately, we ended up doing Poets Against Lupus, where it was another show that we formed. We had a house band, featured poets and other artists that came in to raise money and awareness for lupus. So I recently just stopped back with them, actually, because I want to reconnect with them and start back. They do a walk every year. I want to start helping doing programming or doing some type of program with the Lupus Foundation again.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And I'm just glad that you're spreading the awareness on that. If anybody has a question, please make sure you put it in the chat for Floyd Boykin Jr. And if it could be a question about anything that has to do with being multi-passionate, or I'm sure he'll take any questions about SpokenVizions Magazine or just being an instrumentalist and what that's like. But while you're maybe conjuring up a question, I want to have him play any other instrument you would like to play. And I'm probably going to play a little bit with you, or just do a little quick jam session, because I know you down for it. Everybody's not. So I gotta enjoy this while I can, for those who are never scared.
What you gonna jam? What you gonna jam?
I have no idea. We freestyling.
I'm looking at my
stuff though. I have drums here.
Let me see what I want. I got a couple of things here. Let me see. All right, maybe I'll roll with the ukulele.
Oh, okay. And somebody wants you to do another poem, so I don't know. Is there a specific instrument that you could do the poem with?
It is, but I haven't done it in a while. I might jack that poem up.
Yeah. Well, you just have fun. And I'll figure out where I'll fit in where I fit in. I feel like I'm on vacation right now.
I can't hear you.
you wanna do? Floyd Boykin Jr. is in the spot. He likes to keep it hot in the kitchen, on page, always smiling, never rage. I love that brother working it up. He always says no to no. Hey, multi-passionate all the time. He can give you sushi and a good time. I don't know what to say. I'm just playing. Shake the maracas, we have fun. That was my tribute to you. Don't say I ain't never wrote you a song.
Same thing. I got all kind of stuff I can shake around.
Yes.
My eggs.
You know, that reminds me, those eggs remind me of the troupe that I grew up with, who helped me grow as a poet, and it was Black on Black Rhyme, and they gave you an award one year. What year was that? I think that you were in Tallahassee.
It's sitting right over there.
Can I see it?
Sure. Let me go get that bad back.
Shout out to Black on Black Rhyme Poetry Troupe. I don't know if anybody's watching from that troupe, but that's who I grew as a poet. I grew with a lot of the. Oh wow, there it is.
So this is the very first trophy I received in poetry. You know.
Wow.
And what's so beautiful about this is Keith Roger Founder of the Year award, and this was in 2004. September 18th, 2004. And they flew me in because they were in Florida. You know, they flew me in, and it was dear to me because it was due to the magazine. And I had people outside of St. Louis recognizing what I was doing, you know. And I thought that was so cool that they wanted me to come down to be a keynote speaker. So I went down there, and it was a beautiful Black on Black rhyme in the house. I mean, they were so cool. And what was cool, one of my most famous poems that I've written is a piece called She Could Be My Wife. I wrote that down there in Florida after the ceremony. I wrote that after the ceremony. I was so inspired, I started writing, and I wrote that poem down there.
Let me breathe that in because I still remember hearing that poem. And shout out to my sister Marva, who was one of your fans.
What's up, Marva?
And I think she loved that poem too. And I remember hearing that for the first time, and I loved it because again, you've always been one to always uplift. You know. Yeah, so just uplifting, you know, sisters, and I appreciate you for that. But you know what? I just think that just the fact that you got that award still, and I think I wanted to come to that event, but I couldn't make it. But I still remember hearing about it and how happy you were, because we've been friends for a long time. I don't even know how we met. Can you remember how we met?
More than likely, I was online trying to find somebody, some more poets, and I was trying to research folks, and I came across your page, and I think at that time you were highlighting your modeling and your poetry, and I saw that, and I think I reached out to you because back then I was like with this magazine, I was trying to find any poet that I thought was solid, and I was finding people online. I never created a magazine to be a St. Louis magazine. I wanted to be, you know, a United States, a world magazine, you know, international magazine, and that's the vision I had, you know.
And it has become that.
It has, you know.
You know, and I'm so grateful that you're still in the game. So please continue to support Black press and Black publications that seek to uplift and to build and make, because there's just like you felt that love. Oh, keep going. Don't let me interrupt.
So So this is a hand drum, a hand pan drum.
Hey, that sounds good too. That sounds like joy. That sounds so much like joy.
Yeah, I call her. Her name is Gaia. I call her Gaia.
I love how you name all of them. All your instruments, you named them.
I do.
Because you said the first thing you played, it was called Kina.
It's a Kina, but Kina is the name of the instrument. What the instrument is a Kina flute, but her name is Sabrina Truth.
What's your favorite instrument of all the ones you have?
I'm sorry, Selena Truth. Selena. What's my favorite instrument?
Yeah, of all of the ones you have.
I don't even know. Because I own, I won't even put the number out there, but I have several violins, several bass guitars, several ukuleles, several flutes. But I must say that I gravitate towards the violin because there's a major story behind the violin for me because I wanted to learn. That's the first instrument I ever wanted to play. But, I come from the hood, the cities that the schools I went to, they didn't offer a violin, and we couldn't afford
even before the flute, even before you were walking around with that flute, you wanted to play the violin?
The flute was the second choice. So
can we hear some of your violin then?
Sure. We can hear some of that. Let me get my girl Prima here.
And I know you were inspired by Black Violin. If you all don't know, check out Black Violin, and they definitely
Black Violin, Eczema. She was definitely so many people out there. Monique Brooks Roberts, Chelsea Green, the Green Project. There's so many. My girl Kizzy, the violist. It's a lot of folks out there that inspired me on violin. How much time we had? Can I tell a story how I picked this bad baby up? We got enough time?
Yes, that's the last thing we're gonna do. Well, and then I have to ask you one last question before you go.
Okay, cool. So I'll be as quick as possible. So it was October 5th of 2017. I woke up. For whatever reason, I had a violin on my head. It was real strong, and I'm like, why am I thinking about violin so much? I didn't own any violins at that time. And so I went and I picked up my phone and went to Instagram. And the very first post that I saw with this violinist thing, Zima, and she was playing. And when I saw that, I looked up, I said, you guys, you trying to tell me something? I really thought God was speaking to me because I was like, this wasn't a coincidental thing. So I was like, how am I? I can't afford to get a violin right now. I don't know if this is my path. How am I supposed to do it? So then the idea of doing a GoFundMe campaign came to mind. And so I was like, I can start one if I don't have it. I never had the money in the first place. So, so I did it. First person donated $25. I had the money for that violin by 8:00 that night. The next day I had a violin in my possession. And so I've been playing every day ever since then. So
manifest.
Yeah. So I play a little bit, I ain't a master, but I play a little bit.
Master of Joy.
Now, the violin is I've self-taught, so I haven't had any lessons. I've kind of taught myself and got some videos and some books, and then along the way, I was meeting violinists and people, and they were giving me pointers. And my girl Kizzy, she didn't know me at all, but she saw me trying, and so she reached out to me. So every so often, we'll do a video chat. She'll show me some things on violin, and just because. She just like, so that's kind of spirit she is. So, people help, when you treat people kind, man, kind things happen to you. And
that's so true. And on that note, like, is that what, how do you want to be remembered? Or if you had something like a quote that you would put on your on a headstone or something, what would it be?
That's a deep question.
Yes. Soulful journey.
Yeah, very deep. So not word for word, but something to the fact of I never stopped learning, even in death. I'll never stop learning. I'll never stop creating.
That's deep. I love that.
So,
well, can you let them know how they can find you, and tell them a little bit more about your exchange podcast that I know I'm gonna be a guest on, or yeah, they got to look for that, number one. But tell them about when it airs, or how they can follow that, as well as how they can just follow you in all of your endeavors.
Well, you can definitely follow me on social media platforms. On Instagram, I'm under I'm actually on a couple of things on Instagram, but Spoken Vision is my main page. SpokenVizions. You know, that's the main one. But also for BE Poetic merch, you can follow me on there. Or if you want to check out some of my food joints, then that's Floyd's Food Vision is where you'll find that. You know, and vision is spelled with a Z. That's what I do.
What's up with you with these Z's and versus S's?
Because I want to do the S.
Hey, because you're black.
Because I just don't want to do that.
Gotta be different. Okay.
That's right. I gotta be different, man.
Yeah.
So you can find me all on those things. Facebook is under my name, Floyd Boykin Jr. And then one is Floyd Boykin Jr. 2. You know, like the Roman numeral 2, because I tapped out on the first page, so I had to start different. There is a fan page, man, as well. So just type in my name, and all of it will come up. When you follow any of them, man, I'll be happy if you follow me. You can. I usually post on everything. So.
Well, this has been an amazing journey with you. I'm so excited, and I don't know much about Floyd, the first Floyd Boykin, but I know the junior, and I know you making him proud with all of this.
My dad is dope.
Yeah,
my dad is dope. Just a little speckle. Just give him a little bit. He was in a doo-wop band. He plays guitar and sings. Also does keyboard. He was one of the main martial art instructor or sensei in St. Louis. Like karate to him was like poetry to me. You know, that was his thing. You know, so the original FB is what I call him. And you know, he much love to him. I mean, he's amazing, and I hope that some of that energy that from my dad and myself, we could pass it down to my son. You know. And he's
so has your dad transitioned already too?
Oh no, my dad's still well and kicking. He's still here. Okay. You know, yeah, my dad's still around, man. He's still got, you know, he's happily married, and everybody love him. He's a young man at heart, you know, and my female friends, whenever they see him, they always be trying to flirt on him and stuff. You know, he still got his looks and everything.
Oh wow! Well, you know what? I love it. And I'm so happy that that you're still you know, making them proud every day. I'm sure of it. So thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for, you know, just being in this exchange, even though we know it's not the same as our exchange, but on your exchange podcast. But I do hope people check you out there and follow.
You'll be on there next Friday, by the way. I want to get that in. You'll be on there. Venus Jones featured next Friday.
Yes. So So yeah, y'all make sure y'all tune us in. We're all the way live. So yeah, it's okay to say that because
right.
I love it. So but thank you so much, Floyd, for just being you and being true to all of your many passions and continuing to just live a life that is so full, right? And I really appreciate you. So keep being you. And thank you for being on this show.
Thanks for having me on the show, and continue doing your thing.
# BE Poetic.
That's right. Be poetic.
All right. Until next time. That was Floyd Boykin Jr. He is definitely poetic. He is a powerful individual in the spoken word art world. And I'm so glad he would come and share a little bit of, about what makes him happy and brings him joy in this life with you. Hopefully you got some tips from that multi-passionate person about how to do it. And, you know, and just keep looking up and keep looking out, because when we do, there's a lot less fear and a lot less doubt. My name is Venus Jones, and I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Ooh.